I had a boat, I'd go out on the ocean. And if I had a pony, I'd ride him on my boat. And we could all go and go out on the ocean. Send me up on my pony, on my boat. If I were all right, I'd show.
And we tried to mimic the Harris's hawk, which is a hawk that has a long body, and it also has long wings.
I'm just gonna put this wooden plank on the side of it. But then we learned that it wouldn't connect correctly and it would slide off. So we put these two little blockers in here. They're made out of foam. And then we
decided to mimic the dragonfly, the blue dasher dragon. We tilted the wings upward to make a lip so the water wouldn't go spilling over the wings.
We decided to attach a balloon to the back to make it heavier at the back so it would go a little up.
Some wax to help that, and then also to make it go smoother.
Increase the laminar flow.
And also there's a back that helps the front go up so that it doesn't get water on top of it and get weighed down.
And we clamp it down by the end of the balloon, and then when we test it, we're going to unclamp the balloon, and then all of the air in the balloon will go through the tube underwater and push our boat that way.
It is called the mustard yacht. A dolphin because it's got sort of a narrowed front, so it'll be smoother while cutting through waters.
Like this. And the way it works is that, so if one of the compartments gets filled, hopefully it'll still float. Because if there were no compartments, then it'd just float the whole way and then sink.
The reason why my boat does not give a lot of drag is because of these two water bottles. So if you put it on the surface of the water, it will only come up to here. So it's just the bottles holding
The animal that our boat mimicked was the mallard duck, using its oil and
its feathers
wax combination sort of to make like a black.
And then you can see kind of some of the oil, I think.
This is my boat. It's mimicking the mute swan, and so it's very buoyant and it has sort of the same shape. So yeah, this is a neck. It's just not
His name is El Cinco because I think it's gonna sink. But fish boat, it's like a lot of fish have swim bladders though. But I want it to be able to control, if in the case that it does El Cinco, it would be able to stay somewhat buoyant. So that's why I attached this little balloon here. So if in some way it does spring a leak, that I can still have some chance of it still being buoyant.
It's a type of boat, it can flip fairly easily, that's why it's not really meant to not have people in it, because it's a boat that's used by people. So the friction is basically like how much of this boat is on the water and getting pulled back by the water and stopping it from moving kind of purely and unobstructedly. And on this kayak, the whole surface area is on the water, which will mean it's all water.
Well, and we have compartments inside this. It's inspired by a mallard duck because we used oils and wax to make it waterproof, and they also use oils for that. And
well, it's made out of very thick wood. As you can see, this is one piece, and it was glued and taped together.
And help of wood and hot glue and screws.
Yep.
How did you use it to make it buoyant?
Well, it's full of air, which helps. I mean,
and we also have a bunch of balloons.
Okay.
Got out of town on a boat going to southern islands, sailing to reach before a following sea. She was making for the trades on the outside, and the downhill run a day. Off the wind on this heading line, the Marquesas. You got 80 feet of a water line, nicely making way. In a noisy bar in Avalon, I tried to call you, but on a midnight watch I realized why twice you ran away. Think about how many times I had fallen. Spirits are using me, Lord, your voice is calling. What heaven brought you and me cannot be forgotten. I have been around the world, looking for that woman girl who knows love can endure, and you know it will. When you see the Southern Cross for the first time, you understand now why you came this way. 'Cause the truth you might be running from is so small, but it's as big as the promise of a coming day. So I'm sailing for tomorrow, my dreams are a-dying, and my love is an anchor tied to you, tied with a silver chain. I have my ship and all her flags are a-flying. She is all that I have left, and music is her name. Think about how many times I have fallen. Spirits are using me, Lord, your voice is calling. What heaven brought you and me cannot be forgotten. I have been around the world, looking for that woman girl who knows love can endure, and you know it will, and you know it will.
Why didn't you get a pink one or a white one?
Alright, Oliver and Ezra.
Duck day.
Why didn't you get a pink one or a white one?
Alright, Oliver and Ezra.
Duck day.
Answer some questions about Did it float?
Yes. It was kind of tipping over, so we had to put some ribs that kind of evened it out. These are just sand-filled balloons.
Dolphin. And it really, because that dolphin has the ability to go through water very swiftly and fast because of its nice smooth skin. And I think that our boat pretty well did that. And
Biomimicry is researching a certain animal and using something from that animal to help adapt it into science. We kind of tilted them up, they're really long, and while we think that may have been good for air, it probably wasn't too good for water because
the boat is very
sleek and smooth.
Yeah, so when it goes through the water, it can just glide right over the water, and there are no like jets or anything or like barriers for water to get caught on.
that would make it stop it.
Good at preventing drag because, as you can see, it's very streamlined. And it's good at cutting through the water. And a good way to tell if it's good against drag is if you're pulling it or dragging it, but that'd be confusing with this. And the amount of force you're using is almost equal to the distance it's going. That means there's not a lot of drag. If I was pulling really hard and it was barely moving, that'd be a lot of drag.
Didn't affect it, and it was pretty fast. So
Drag is kind of preventing it from moving forward and like wanting to push it
Our
back.
boat streamlines well because it is thinner on the ends and bigger in the middle, which gives it a sort of aerodynamic angular.
And the boat prevents drag because it isn't on the water, like it's kind of
there's more
leveled
pressure
up.
on the bottom, and there's less pressure on the top, which maximizes it because it catches a lot more air in that position.
Since they're so spread out, they can catch a lot of air or force and help. But it also weights down the bottom of the shark to enable it to sort of swim freer because it takes it uses gravity to sort of pull itself down, which is what we wanted to take advantage of. So you can't see it because it popped, but we had a water balloon in the back, and basically that worked because the water is denser than the rest of the boat, so it pulled the gravity pulled it down. So yeah, as you can see, it made it like that so that less mass.
And
would
then
be
we
in the
also
water.
use this fin, just a wood fin in the back to stabilize the boat and have it and keep it going straight. And then we also
create a little pocket of air, and
Does the
that
air-
would seal the air to float to the top. Once I place the boat in the water, the air balances everything out, and it floats. And
Is lighter than the amount of water the water displaces.
Awesome. And
And it goes up. The buoyant force pushes up.
We take advantage of buoyant force because the water kind of pushes it up, so it is less dense than
On the surface area, it helps with the buoyant force because it has a lot more to. There's more surface area for the buoyant force to push against.
surface area in relation to buoyant force. As you all know, when something is in the water, it'll float as long as it weighs less than the water it displaces. So if something has more surface area, it is more likely to float than something that's more